So here we are inside the Auto Trail Imala 732. I will firstly go to the main control panel and turn the 12 volt on. So if we now press this button here, 12 volt will now come on, which means because I'm hooked up to main supply, I am also now charging the battery. L is for leisure battery, so if I now press this, it will display the condition just here. And if I now press V for vehicle, it will now display the condition here. Whichever battery is selected on here is the battery that's being charged if you are hooked up to main supply. So at the moment I'm now charging the vehicle battery and I'm running the back end off the vehicle battery. So I will now switch it back over to the leisure. Next we have the water pump. Water pump on. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler up if it's been drained. And next we have how much water is in the fresh tank. This switch here is for the awning light. And next we have the Truma combi controller for your heating and hot water. If I now press this middle button here, you will see we now get a series of icons. And as I rotate the button, they begin to flash. If we start with the first one here, we have the icon for the heating. So if I now click on it, heating is off. And as I rotate, I can now pick a temperature. So let's say we want it to be 21 degrees in here. Click on it to store it in. And you will now see a little flame has appeared just above to let you know that you've set a parameter. When the heating is in operation, the flame will begin to flash. And then once the temperature has been achieved, it will then go back to a solid state. So as you can see, the heating has now come on. This is the thermostat, so this is where it gets its temperature from. If I now click again, I can now move across to the next icon, which is hot water. If I click on it, hot water is off. If I now rotate, I can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a water temperature of about 40 degrees. If I then rotate again, I can heat in hot, which will give us a water temperature of about 60 degrees. And if I rotate again, we can also perform a boost on the boiler. If I now press this to perform the boost, you will see that the heating actually turns off because it needs to rob the power to be able to do the boost. The boost is very handy if more than one person is having a shower in quick succession of each other, or if you just want a prolonged shower. But I will now click on it and put it back on to eco mode, and you will see both of them begin to flash again. If we now move across again, we will then go to power source. At the moment, indicated by the two little lightning strikes above, I am running the system on mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I then rotate the button, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt. So if we're on a low amp site, it will stop us from tripping. We can run in dual fuel, so we can run on a mixture of gas and mains at 2, or a mixture of gas and mains at 1. This is very handy, especially in the winter months, if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use the gas as it's required. And then if we do not have any mains at all, we can solely run on gas. But I will now put it back onto main supply. Next we have the circulation fan for the heating system. So at the moment it's in eco mode. We can just turn the fan up to high. If I now turn the heating off and the hot water off and now return back to the circulation fan, we can also use it to vent. So on a warm day we can just circulate the air. It has a fan speed of 1 to 10. If we now rotate again, we can drop to the lower icons. Down here, this first one is for a basic timer. So we just set a start time and an end time. And then once we've done that, we just literally just tell it what we want on within that time period. Timer on, timer off. If I now turn the timer on, within that time period, those settings would then apply. If I now click on it again, I can obviously turn the timer back off, and when we return to it, we can alter it again. This one here is literally just a back button to get us out of anything we no longer want to be in. If I now go to this one, this literally just sets the time. The last one is your settings menu. Offset is just for that thermostat just there. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just tweak it. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen. 12 or 24 hour clock. Language. Index, more for my technicians in the workshop, just lets them know what software it's running. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time, these control panels will throw up error codes. For instance, at the moment, because this control panel is on, and if I now turn off the main 12 volt, we will get an error code appear, as you can see. If I now click on that warning triangle, it will display an error code just there, and that's just letting us know that we have lost 12 volt. So if I now return and turn it back on again, it will then go back out again. So 9 times out of 10, as long as you rectify the problem, the error code will just disappear. Like I say, the main ones you will get are literally if you just turn the control panel off, if you lose main supply and you're running on mains, or if you haven't got gas and you're running on gas. If we now swing round and go to this overhead locker here, we have the consumer unit. So we have the battery charger on and off just up here. Really we want it on, so when we're hooked up to the mains, we're charging the batteries. We then have the main trip switches here, so we've got the 3 individual MCBs, the RCD and test button just here. They are labelled up to let you know what they all are. And then exactly the same with this, they're all labelled up for the 12 volt fuses that just sit here. We then have the solar panel regulator just here. You do not need to do anything with it. It will just smart charge both the batteries. You'll see green flashy lights on at the moment, letting you know that they are being charged. If we now go underneath this bench seat here, we have ample storage, and we then have also storage underneath this bench seat here, but we also have the location of the leisure battery. We have the main fuse just there for the 12 volt system and the fuse for the solar panel, and you can see the leisure battery just there. Next we have the Dometic fridge. To turn it on, just press this button here, and then we literally just pick the power source on the front. So we're currently running on mains electricity with a 2-pin plug. If I want to run it on gas, just press the flame. It will auto ignite itself. If it fails to light, it will just beep to let you know, and it shows you on here. If you think you've just got air in the system, you can just press this button here again to reset it, and it will then try to relight again. And then the last one is 12 volt maintain for when you're driving. So you need the engine on. So at the moment, if I press this, because the engine's not on, it will beep to let us know it hasn't got 12 volt at the moment. But I will now put it back onto mains, and then we get temperature control just here. So the more blue bars, the colder the unit is. It is then just pressed down to open the door. Next we have just the sink. Good water pressure in these motorhomes. We then have the hob, so we have 3 gas burners and 1 electric hot plate. The electric hot plate is just here. Little red light comes on to let you know it's in operation, and then everything else is just push in and then twist round and press the igniter, just like so. With these particular ones, they do not have gas cutout on the glass, so just make sure that you adhere to the little sticker just here. Next we have the grill. Same again, just literally push in, twist, and then just press the igniter. And then we have the oven just here. Directly underneath we have storage, and then we have gas isolation taps. They're all in the on position, and I always say they can stay like that. Smell gas, turn the gas bowl off. Tucked right at the very back. You may not be able to actually see it on the actual camera itself, but the water pump just sits right at the very back, just underneath there. We then have the microwave, so this will only work on main supply. It is an eco one, so you do need to press the eco button just here to kind of wake it up, and then it just behaves like any microwave would, with like your quick start, your stop, etc. The isolator for it is just in this overhead locker just here, and the plug is just there. We then have the Omni vent fan. To use this, you need to wind the roof vent up on this little winder here, and then we have on and off in the center, and then we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling. Variable fan speed by pressing the button. Do make sure that the vent is down for travel. Next we have the washroom. So we have the shower just here, the basin, and then we have the toilet. So with the toilet we have the lever to open and close the cassette just here, and then the blue button to flush. With these particular ones, as I already stated on the outside video, they can have a cartridge put in to vent when you press the flush button. So if I now press this, the fan will begin to spin, and then when we press it for a second time, it will then perform the flush. We have a level indicator here to let you know when the cassette is full, and if we do not want the fan to spin, we can press it to pause it. We then have the double bed. We can lift this up and we can see the storage space beneath it. Just tucked down there is a switch, and that is the isolator switch for the heating and hot water. So if you turn that one off there, you will just confuse the main Truma control panel by the door. And then if I flap this part forward for a moment, you will then see the actual combi boiler itself, and again you can see the drain down valve for it just there.